Hello guys, welcome back in Goku Manhwa channel. Let's continue. Still in the middle of the night, a small boy wandered down the dimly lit street, clutching a worn-out toy car in his hands. Then suddenly, something ahead caught his eye. He froze for a moment, then rushed toward the faint glow, shouting the name Rusty. His mother, walking behind him, called out in panic, warning him to slow down before he tripped. But he didn't listen. The boy had already dashed forward. He stopped abruptly and found himself before Lian, gazing up at him with awe and fascination. Lian was holding in his hands a model car he had crafted for Myra. With a cheerful tone, the boy asked if Rusty, Lian's toy, could race with his own little car. His mother standing nearby felt awkward in front of Lian's composed and graceful air. Flustered, she hurriedly apologized, explaining that her son often got too excited and meant no harm. But Lian, rather than being annoyed, smiled kindly. He knelt down to meet the boy's eyes, pretending that Rusty was ready for a race. He asked gently if the boy's car could keep up. The boy's grin widened with bright excitement. Then he asked if Rusty could push his car across the finish line as teammates. Lian nodded warmly, saying Rusty would love that. Not far away, Myra watched in silence. Her gaze drifted from the boy's beaming face to Lian's calm expression. There was a tenderness there that tugged at something long forgotten within her. A memory flickered. She remembered a night just like this, when he had comforted a frightened child in the rain. If life had taken another turn, maybe she would have known the feeling of being a mother. Maybe she wouldn't have felt so hollow. But that thought dissolved into the ache of truth. She remembered the doctor's words she had never wanted to hear. That she might never hold her own child, no matter how much she hoped. The words had scarred her deeply. Remembering them, she looked away, hiding her trembling eyes behind the shadows. Lian noticed the shift in her demeanor. Her quietness and distant stare didn't go unnoticed, yet he said nothing at first. When they began climbing the stairs together, he softly asked if something was wrong. Myra shook her head slowly, whispering that she was fine. A moment later, he asked again, this time uncertain if she was disappointed in him. She replied softly, her tone detached, saying she wasn't. To ease the tension, Lian lifted the toy car and rolled it gently along his arm, pretending it was apologizing for any mistake it might have made. He smiled, urging her to tell him what was wrong. But Myra responded quietly that it wasn't about him. She added faintly that some feelings couldn't be explained so easily. In a sudden motion, she accidentally dropped the small car. It tumbled down the steps, and upon seeing it fall, she gasped and reached to retrieve it. But Lian, acting on impulse, caught her wrist before she could move and gently drew her closer to the wall. His voice lowered as he told her she was still thinking about Kale, the man she had once loved and long tried to forget. Myra froze, guilt flickering in her eyes. She murmured an apology so soft it nearly vanished, unable to deny his words. Her silence became her answer. Lian stared at her, disbelief clouding his gaze. His voice trembled as he repeated himself, struggling to accept that she hadn't even tried to refute it. Only moments ago, everything between them had felt effortless. He remembered their quiet laughter, their teasing remarks, and how they had scribbled messages across the wooden beam, playfully crossing each other's names. For a brief instant, life had seemed uncomplicated. He had truly believed that, at least in that moment, there was only the two of them. No past, no shadows, only now. Overwhelmed by emotion, he leaned in and kissed her. The kiss deepened, filled with longing he could no longer suppress. Myra's heart pounded as warmth spread through her, her body trembling from the flood of sensations. Yet unease stirred within her, a quiet voice urging her to stop. Feeling his sorrow, she gently pushed him back, whispering that she could walk the rest of the way alone. Her gaze faltered, but her meaning was firm. She asked him to go home for the night. Lian stood frozen for a moment, his expression heavy as though the air itself had turned against him. Then he turned away, vanishing down the corridor, leaving the fallen toy behind. Myra, her eyes dim yet steady, simply said softly, "Get home safe." Her tone was calm but burdened with unspoken emotion. Somewhere else, a messenger delivered his report, saying the two young heirs were performing admirably. He described the elder as not particularly hardworking, yet naturally clever with sharp instincts for strategy and remarkable adaptability. Then he mentioned the younger one, the one who often shadowed Lian. This stirred a memory of when Lian had jokingly warned him, asking if he ever felt like someone was observing him. Now, in the present, The guard admitted there were times he felt as though he were monitoring the commander himself. The focus then shifted to Myra. She was at her workplace, speaking with the cafe manager. Noticing her exhaustion, he kindly remarked that with her talent, she deserved a better position elsewhere. He assured her he'd try to find a recommendation, though he worried she was stretching herself too thin. Later that day, the bookstore owner where she worked evenings also asked if she was still hunting for an extra job. When she quietly nodded, he sighed, saying that being young didn't mean she had to burn herself out. He warned her that one day, her body might not forgive her. Instead of allowing her to take more shifts, he promised to raise her pay the next month. Touched by his concern, Myra tried to express her gratitude, but her voice faltered midway. Her thoughts drifted elsewhere. She remembered a time she had accepted help once before, believing that if they had found a place to call their own, perhaps things would have turned out differently. But he had vanished without ever offering an explanation. Each time she recalled his voice, it was filled with reason, always logic, never emotion. And each time, she convinced herself that what she did had been for the best, even if it no longer felt that way. That when she walked away, it was because their downfall had always been certain. She had driven him farther than she ever meant to. And yet he had still chosen to remain near her. Maybe, she thought, he could still discover a trace of peace, even if it was only temporary. Her thoughts stayed fixed on the fragments of what once was, their quiet talks, the echo of his laughter, the way his gaze softened when he smiled. The memories clung to her, too vivid to let go. Meanwhile, down a narrow street, Lian arrived. His face showed irritation as he scanned the surroundings, muttering under his breath that this place was a complete wreck. He turned to the guard beside him, asking if this crumbling building existed before he was even born. With a scoff, he remarked that demolishing it would be simpler than trying to keep it standing. He found it absurd that someone of his position had to waste time in such a miserable area, all because of a woman. He sighed heavily, admitting he was beginning to regret ever coming. Then, with a crooked smirk, he added that if that man truly let a woman work in a place this shabby, then perhaps she was nothing more than a passing amusement to him. The guard suddenly interrupted his rambling, signaling him to look ahead. He pointed toward a young woman outside, crouched down, carefully gathering discarded papers into a bin. "That's her," he said. Lian's brows furrowed as he turned in that direction. When his gaze finally landed on her, his demeanor shifted slightly. There she was, Myra, clearing away litter under the dull streetlight, unaware that someone was silently watching her.